Why is that we don't have such layoffs? Is this the reason that we hire for Fractal first and then for the role?
There's definitely some element of that. I think I would say the bigger purpose or bigger reason is the long-term approach, right? Can we build Fractal for the long term? This is true for how we are thinking of Fractal's future.
Fractal has a different or a unique culture where the openness to being giving the freedom to employees to work from anywhere kind of a thing, or be getting rid of timesheets. I mean, not following any time sheets kind of a thing. So how this unconventional path to building such a culture, how is it possible?
See, it may be unconventional, but it is quite intuitive and natural. I think the basic premise here is extend trust. One of our 4 values: extend extreme trust in people.
Do you believe that culture eats strategy for breakfast? Is it really possible for an organization to place work culture at the forefront? Well, today we are about to prove that it's not just possible, it's a reality. Join us in this inspiring conversation with an incredible storyteller and visionary, our guest Srikanth Velamakanni, the co-founder and group CEO of Fractal Analytics. In this episode, we'll talk about success story of Fractal, a company that's changing the game by providing AI and technological insights and solution to Fortune 500 giants. Srikanth will walk us through how they have mastered the art of blending cutting-edge technology with a thriving work culture. Fractal's core value put their clients first, but they also champion an employee-centric environment. Think open door policies, remote work even before it was mainstream, flexible work hours, generous leave policies, and no dreaded timesheets. If you know of other such organizations that place culture and employees at the heart of their operations, share them in the comments. We would love to explore their stories in future episodes by having their leaders as future guests. Now, without any further delay, let's dive into this inspiring conversation with Srikanth. Make sure you to stick around till the end, because this isn't just a story, it's a roadmap for creating a remarkable work culture.
Hello Srikanth, welcome to the podcast of Agile Coaching Roundtable. We are really honored to have you here, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Okay, today we want to have a discussion with you regarding the work culture. Especially, we got inspired by the work culture that you have built in Fractal. So we want to learn from you, how did you try to achieve this work culture? How did you create this work culture? This is as a part of our ongoing series on job and work culture. So to start with, I would like to understand, AI and humanizing work culture sounds like an oxymoron. So in this fast-paced world where AI is taking over jobs, what do you think? Do you still need to humanize the work culture?
See, eventually, every organization is about a bunch of people trying to come together and try to accomplish something. And there's a mission, there's a purpose, there's something that we are all trying to get accomplished. And AI is just a tool. AI is just a means to that end.
Correct.
And we'll get fancier and fancier tools. But the eventual job of an organization, its purpose, its mission, is something that has to be accomplished by a set of people using these tools. So organizations will always be about people and not really about the tech. So in that sense, I think yes, absolutely. We have to build an organization that everyone wants to come to work every day, finds meaningful, purposeful. They're doing their best. They're getting their best out every day at work and having fun doing that. So that's really the kind of organization it needs to be. And it doesn't matter how much of a tech involvement there is in getting the work done. You could have whatever we're doing today, 80% of that could be done by tech. But still the 20% of us who are building this, right, will have to work like that. So I do believe that it doesn't change with the nature of tech.
So basically from what I could get from you is like more focus is given towards people. Maybe the technology might be a supporting part, or maybe it might happen that it is playing a major role, but still the underlying factor is
Yeah.
people around who
Yeah.
are we building it.
Tech is a means to the end.
Yeah.
The end is important, the purpose is important, and the people who are coming together to achieve the purpose, that's really an organization. Technology has no objectives of its own.
Yes.
Tech is just a tool. It's just a tool, like a hammer or a plane or anything else, right? It's there to serve a purpose. It doesn't have a purpose of its own until AI becomes conscious. And I don't think AI is getting conscious anytime soon. So we don't have to worry about that.
Absolutely. So again, since you're talking about AI, Fractal being an AI organization focusing on AI, why humanizing work culture is important, and what do you, would like to talk about it?
See, the thing that we have tried to do throughout the Fractal journey is, firstly, that we are here to serve a certain set of clients. We are here to power every human decision. That's been our mission throughout. And we have always believed throughout the journey that we have to build a great place to work to accomplish that. If you want happy clients, you need happy people to deliver that, right? And therefore, creating a happy organizational workplace where people are able to do their best work every day is important. So I think it is something that's sort of, I think it's universal. I don't see any organization that can say that, hey, I'm here, that I want to accomplish these goals in the very long term, but I don't care about the people who are helping me accomplish that. I don't think any organization can sustain itself for the long term without focusing on being a great place to work as well.
Amazing. That's a very valid point. So what do you think, how much of a leadership's role has got into this building a culture? How do you ensure that the leadership also burns this flame of work culture within the organization?
So leaders are modeled. So like they say about parenting, it's not about what the parents are asking the children to do. It's about what they are doing. The children will follow what parents are doing. Let's say you tell your kids that, hey, don't use a smartphone or don't use any devices at dinner. But at the same time, you're taking calls or you're watching a game of cricket while dinner is going on.
Correct.
Their message for them is that, no, these rules apply only to me, not to them. And they will absolutely do exactly what you're doing. They're not going to follow the rules. So in a similar way, leaders are signaling the right behavior to the rest of the organization. Number one. So leaders have to model what behavior they expect out of other people. It's not about telling them. It's about modeling those behaviors. That's important. Secondly, I think leaders have an outsized influence in shaping how values are practiced every day, right? So we have a certain set of organizational values, which the behavior according to those values determines the culture. Culture is just values in action. So if the leaders of the organization are constantly using these values in order to make decisions, then the organization will get the message that, oh, these are important to us. This is how I need to behave. So for example, we might say we are a client-centric organization. But let's say in every conversation around any piece of work, we only talk about what is in it for Fractal, or how it is more profitable for Fractal, how it is about margins. Then people will get the message that, oh, these values are there, but as far as the readers are concerned, they only focus on the results, on the results around profitability or growth. They are not worried about, let's say, are clients satisfied, happy, engaged? Are they advocating our services? Are we really doing our best work for our clients? Tracking NPS, Net Promoter Score, for example.
Correct.
So leaders have an outsized role in shaping the values into action inside an organization. So I think leaders play a very critical role.
Okay, so basically what we are trying to say is leaders give the intent to the rest of the team so that the team can get empowered and they do what is right to get that intent out.
Intent, absolutely, and you have to role model with examples. So what is the job of a leader? Let's ask that question. In my opinion, there are only two important roles a leader plays that others don't play. Number one is provide clarity. Clarity meaning there is a lot of things possible, there's a lot of confusion, and yet the leader says, let's go this way. This is the path forward. That's the leader's job. And what does that mean? It can also mean moral clarity, right? this is wrong or this is right, or if the trade-off is between this and this, according to our values, this is the right answer, right? So the leaders have to model that kind of clarity. So they provide clarity to the organization. The second thing a leader provides is optimism. This is where we are going, and I'm positive that I can get us there, right? I'll lead us there, right? So these are the two things a leader has to do. It's true for all leaders, right? If that's the case, then leaders have to show with example. They have to provide that moral clarity or clarity on values with examples. Here's a situation that is arisen. What should we do? Now I'll give you multiple instances in the story of Fractal where we could have done something that would have been obvious and that would have been wrong. And yet we used a value and lived those values in those instances. Example, we had a significant cybersecurity incident. We could have easily, not talked about that event and tried to brush it under the carpet. But what we did instantly was we said, we are a client-first organization, and we must inform, regardless of its seriousness or otherwise. We are duty-bound to inform everybody that this happened. So that this brings us two values of Fractal. One is transparency, other is client-first. That we have to do what's best for the client, even if it's not best for us. Right?
Wow.
So if you, in situations like these, how you act, how you behave determines what the people will do. Eventually, culture is taking place while nobody is watching, right?
Yes.
4,500 Fractalites, someday 50,000 Fractalites are going to act in a certain way. If they see the leaders model a certain kind of behavior, that becomes a norm inside the organization. Even if you make small exceptions, people are watching. People are absolutely watching your behavior. Leaders are always being watched. So if you behave inconsistent with the values that are stated on the wall, then the organization is not going to follow suit. Why do I sleep easy at night? Because I know that by and large, Fractal has a very consistent set of values that everybody will live up to, even if nobody is watching.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
there's no other way to get there unless leaders model that behavior every day.
absolutely true. So just to add to what you said, there are two underlying things that leaders should exhibit is one by leading the change and one leading by example, as you mentioned. And also, since you mentioned culture, culture without having a clarity or consistency, I don't think so that is pretty much clear for anyone to follow. And that is what I take away from this part, that one is giving clarity and one is giving, having that consistency to ensure that what everyone is following or how they are following or what leaders are talking about. So based on that, as a CEO, what is your criteria to hire the leaders? What are the things that you basically look out for when you see that, someone who would be joining as a leader?
So one of the things that at Fractal we believe is this model called humble, hungry, smart, which is that people we are in the business of serving our clients. So anybody who has a problem with the word service or the idea of serving is somebody who's not welcome in Fractal, because simply she or he will not succeed. So anyone who brings in a lot of ego and insecurity to that is not going to survive in Fractal. They're not going to be successful in Fractal, because we have to, as an organization, we are humble, and every single person in Fractal has to be humble to be successful. So that's the first one, humble. Second is hungry. Again, we serve clients, we solve some very interesting challenges, and the organization is such that there is no extrinsic motivation. Nobody is driving anybody. There's no micromanagement. In that kind of an environment, someone who is self-driven, who has a very high bar of accomplishment, of work ethic on their own without any monitoring, is the only person who will succeed in Fractal. Right? Otherwise, they will not accomplish much. So we also look for people who are driven. Hungry as in they're driven for success, they're driven to accomplish, they're driven to learn new stuff, they're driven by curiosity, right? That's the hungry part. And third is about smart or emotionally smart. We need people who can play the Fractal team game. It's a team sport, and understanding emotions of the others, building great relationships is important. So they have to be emotionally smart. So whether it is with their colleagues in the way we come through as teams and solve problems, or with their clients in terms of bringing empathy into understanding how to drive their success, or it is the world at large. So I think empathy and emotional smarts are the three. So that's the basic thing we look for: humble, hungry, smart. And this is something that you can determine over the course of conversations. You have to look for multiple signals, but we look for those signals in identifying who are the humble, hungry, smart. Next is, we have these 4 values at Fractal, which is client first, learn and grow, extend extreme trust and be accountable, and think big and act fast. We try to find people who have or display examples of living these values in their life. If we can identify those at the time of having a conversation with them, those are the kinds of leaders we try to bring into Fractal. So these are some things. Of course, there are things like whether they will be good in the role that we are hiring for. Obviously, do they have expertise in the role that we are hiring for, etc., which are important. But these are the cultural things that we look for when we hire them. One more thing I'll say is that at hiring we look for who will fit Fractal first, and then for the appropriate role. So we have a principle which says hire for Fractal and then for the role. So we have to hire someone who will fit Fractal regardless of the role. And then we look for whether they'll fit the role. And that's another principle, because we feel that leaders should take on multiple assignments. This assignment that they're doing right now may not be there a year from now. Are we hiring someone for Fractal or just for that role? We are not here to fill just those slots. We're here to bring leaders who will lead Fractal to the future.
I think that is the reason why I feel that I don't see a lot of layoffs happening in Fractal. Just for an example, in this day and age where people are getting laid off, and I have not seen a single person getting laid off in Fractal, even in the pandemic. So this talks about how you value your employees, right? So do you want to talk about that? I mean, why is that we don't have such layoffs? Is this the reason that we hire for Fractal first and then for the role?
That's definitely some element of that. I think I would say the bigger purpose or bigger reason is the long-term approach, right? Can we build Fractal for the long term? And this is true for how we are thinking of Fractal's future, the kinds of steps we take, as well as how we want to hire people. We want to hire people for the long term, and that's exactly why hire for Fractal first and then for the appropriate role, right? So my fundamental belief is that people can move into a new role, can be repurposed, and if there's a short-term blip, we are not going to take long-term decisions based on short-term blips, right? So recessions come and go, and these things do happen, right? Few incidents do happen. You don't want to take knee-jerk reactions to random events, or even if they're significant events, you don't want to take knee-jerk reactions. Now, I can't say that forever we will be in a position that we never have to ask anyone to go. We certainly ask people to leave, depending on their performance, or if they're not fulfilling the humble, hungry, smart, if they're not fulfilling the values of Fractal. I think, yes, we will ask people to go if that is the case. But by and large, we take a long-term view of people. And therefore, we will not do something stupid like do layoffs when we have a short-term, a couple of quarters are little off. Yeah, but 2 quarters from now, things will be okay. So, like I say, bad news is good news, because we know that, it's only going to get better from here, right? Something like that, right? The approach is things are going to get better. And if we have to just hold out for a couple of quarters or something, I don't see any point in taking knee-jerk short-term reactions. It is a smart approach, because the moment you start doing these kinds of things, people are going to say, okay, these guys don't care. They just, one day they fire, one day they hire. I think that's the messaging in the market, is that these guys just care about their bottom line. They don't care about people. And we don't want to be seen like that, because we are not like that.
That's a bold move, I would say. I won't say it's a smart, but it's a bold move, right? I mean, I don't think many organizations think this way, that, what if, why should we keep employee holding if you don't have that short-term plans or anything like that? I don't think so anyone would be so bold to retain employees even when there is no maybe a future plan for that person.
So I think many companies are driven by the short-term pressures of the quarter, if they're listed, then they have shareholders to answer for, listed shareholders to answer, public shareholders to answer to. And if they're unlisted, then they have this private equity players to answer to. Even if they're privately held and completely family held, that extra profit every month makes a difference, and that cash flows make a difference to them. So people take a short-term view. So that's exactly why I said thinking is building the company for the long term. If you take a 50-year view, 100-year view of what actions should we take, I would say that retaining your culture and having the trust of your people and being known for being a great place to work that takes a long-term view of people, these are all things that are consistent with building the company for the long term, and things that are not consistent with building the long term, which give us short-term benefits but long-term tarnish the brand and reputation, I try to avoid them as much as possible.
Since you spoke about great place to work kind of thing, or maybe those surveys, or those timely self-reflecting points which organizations basically look at for how employees are feeling about an organization. So what definitely have understood from Ramya, of course, that Fractal has a different or a unique culture where the openness to being giving the freedom to employees to work from anywhere kind of a thing, or be getting rid of timesheets. I mean, not following any time sheets kind of a thing. So how this unconventional path to building such a culture, how is it possible?
See, it may be unconventional, but it is quite intuitive and natural. I think the basic premise here is extend trust. One of our 4 values: extend extreme trust and be accountable. If you treat people with extend a lot of trust to everyone, people reciprocate the trust. It's a simple insight that no one wants to take your trust and then do something very silly. Right? The moment somebody feels trusted, they reciprocate that trust.
Absolutely.
So that is a basic insight in terms of how to build the organization. And some of these mechanisms, these have their own unintended consequences. The moment you create a mechanism, the metrics from that mechanism become more important than the what we are solving for in the first place.
Absolutely.
Everybody will try to figure out how to game that system or some other system. So instead of that, I think extending extreme trust to our people has worked out better so far. So I think it's only a matter of time that other organizations also do it. Frankly, I think we are carrying over an industrial era mindset to the knowledge era. We are in the knowledge era, firmly in the knowledge era, but many of the practices that even very large and successful companies have are all about the industrial era hangover, so to speak, which are extreme mistrust of people. Right? Measure everything, extreme mistrust of people. Well, look, measuring things is good. I think measuring things is good because you can get smarter with data. But you have to extend extreme trust, and sometimes if measurement comes in the way of trust, then even getting rid of measurement is better than to lose the trust.
Absolutely.
Also to add to to your previous point where we're talking about not having a command and control, this also leads to that way. We're giving more autonomy, we are giving more freedom to people who are working with us to decide for themselves, and that again leads to how we are trusting them. And so just
and also since you talked about metrics, we work in an agile space, and this is exactly same thing that we teach teams, that do not fall prey to the velocity, at what rate you are running and how many story points have you completed. Instead, see what value are you delivering to the customer. Measure that. Having a measurement which will not make sense is only you're going to game that metrics for sure. And since you're talking about measuring the right things, right? So, and you also spoke about extending that trust. So, how do you stay in touch with the ground reality? How do you know that okay, this is what is working, or maybe this is not working? This is the change that we want to incorporate. So, how do you stay in touch with the ground reality?
I think I would think of the moments of truth. Right? I believe there are 3 moments of truth for Fractal vis-a-vis our clients, which is how are we perceived in the marketplace? Do people think of Fractal when they think of AI in the first place? And you'll see by the kind of followership we have on LinkedIn, or the kind of number of inbound requests for proposal that come, etc. So that's the zeroth, I call it the zeroth moment of truth. The first moment of truth is when we are in a client situation, in a sales situation. How do clients perceive us?
Wow.
Do they like what we are presenting? Do they think we are differentiated? Or they ask us the question, but how are you different from any number of other companies? So I'm in those calls and I get direct feedback on what's going on in are we winning the first moment of truth or not? The second moment of truth is, for us, is NPS, which is clients are using us, they give us feedback. Is it working? Are they going to advocate Fractal services to others or not? So we measure Net Promoter Score, and we start every meeting in Fractal with understanding of Net Promoter Score. So this is how the 3 moments of truth we measure, and I try to stay abreast of these 3 moments of truth, because this is defining whether this Fractal, if Fractal is winning these 3 moments of truth, then we are in a good place. Similarly, the same 3 moments of truth are applicable on the people front, right? And on the investors front. All stakeholders, you can do this, right? For people front, how many people are applying to Fractal? How many people hear of Fractal and applying to Fractal? Last year, it was 315,000 people applied to Fractal, right? 2 is, once they have contact with Fractal, how many people are accepting the job offers that we make to them? If we make an offer, we make an offer to 1 in 200 people, right? And are they accepting? How many of them drop off? That gives you a sense of whether we are attractive to them or not after they have spoken with us. And 3 is, once they're in Fractal, how they think of Fractal as a great place to work, how long do they stay at Fractal, etc. What is their feedback, etc. That's another one. So these are the measures that we can measure. We can look at. One more way in which I stay grounded is to have these weekly town hall meetings.
Yeah.
And so if you have a weekly town hall meeting and you let all your 4,500 people ask all kinds of questions, is a strong feedback that comes every time you do something stupid. There's instant feedback from the organization that this is bad. So if you create more feedback mechanisms, clients, people, etc., you tend to stay grounded, because you will always hear from the stakeholders that you are serving that, look, this is not working well. So create those feedback points and measure these moments of truth. That's really the way to stay grounded.
And since you spoke about feedback, I remember one of the fireside chats that you had with one of our clients, and what took me to surprise was, in front of so many people, I know that there were so many people who had joined that call, fireside chat, and you asked openly, you asked for the feedback from the client, and I was so surprised. I don't think anyone would be doing that. So what makes you take such bold moves? I mean, how do you manage to ask such questions directly to the client?
I think inherently the belief is that we are a great company, we are on a very good mission, we are very good people, and we are trying to do our best every day to solve problems for clients. I fundamentally believe in that, right? And therefore, I don't feel afraid of asking a question, like asking a direct feedback. What's the worst that can happen? They'll give us, let's say they give scathing feedback. It'll help all of us and realize that, oh my God, we screwed up, and let's get better. And all Fractalites will listen to it and realize the importance of getting it right for clients and only get better. And what's the best that can happen? Client says, you're great, you're wonderful, you did so well. It'll provide more motivation, it'll make our people much happier, even more energized. So I don't see a downside. I only see upside of getting feedback. And sometimes people are afraid to hear the negative in front of other people. I think it is unpleasant in the moment, only in the moment. But after that, once you absorb feedback, reflect on it and get better, and it's only great from there. So I do believe in the power of feedback, regardless of how painful, unpleasant it may be in the moment.
Wow.
Also, to put it in the other way, is like, how are we improving from here on? What are the things that we pick up from here on to see how we can better ourselves? So since we have got an opportunity, it makes no sense, or maybe without speaking to you about AI, we would definitely like to touch base on that part. Is how AI, I mean, we have definitely listened to your many podcasts recently, where you mentioned the need for professionals from generation to different generations to learn AI. But about mid-level managers, how significant is that for them to understand this new technology?
I think AI is going to dramatically change the way we work.
Mhm.
And therefore, it's important for every one of us who's in the workforce for the next 10, 20, 30 years to embrace AI and make the most of work with AI. AI is going to automate parts of our job. It's going to bring in some skills. It's going to automate parts of our job, but also means that if we use AI, we can be much more productive. As an individual, every person can be more productive. It's like a new tech that's come in. Think of 1980s and you said, hey, I don't want to use computers because I'm so good. Like, that won't have worked out too well. Think of 1990s and somebody said, hey, I don't want to use a smartphone because I don't need a smartphone. That wouldn't have worked very well. Right? Or said someone said, I don't need to use the internet. What is this Google thing all about? I don't need to use the internet.
Correct.
So this one is much bigger. In my opinion, this is even bigger than the internet. It's going to dramatically change the way we work. A layer of intelligence will be there. A layer of smartness will be there in every work, every piece of work that we do. These tools will coexist with us, will make our life easier, will drive our productivity up. And if we don't use it, someone else who's using it will be better than us, will drive more throughput. So all of us need to learn this power of AI. You don't have to learn the mathematics of AI and the probability and the linear algebra of AI. Other people will do it. But as a user of AI, how to use AI to drive better outcomes and to be ready to repurpose themselves, relearn, to understand the implications of AI and to shape their career in order to be successful in the age of AI. I think that is an imperative for every one of us. And anybody who's saying this AI thing, let's just ignore it, is going to feel, oh my God, why did I waste those 2 or 3 years not looking at AI? So even today, many of the tasks that we're doing, if we use an AI technique or a tool for that, we'll be much better. I mean, for example, this interview, right? You could throw in all the questions and say, hey, can you shape these questions better, write these questions better, or ask Srikanth better questions. I could figure out all my answers and put it in an AI algorithm and make sure that it's serving the purpose it's supposed to serve. So yes, all of us can get better by using AI, and to the extent that it is going to change our lives, we better start investing our time in learning how to be in the world where AI is getting better.
Wow, that's amazing. And since with this AI coming in, many people are like worried about their jobs, obviously, and many people are like, even today someone asked me, Ramya, what do you think, is AI going to take away our jobs as project managers or maybe agile coaches? So this is a question for all those people. We would want to understand your perspective. Do you think AI will eat away jobs of project managers, people who are working with different type of methodologies and different ways of working? So can AI replace them?
I think AI is going to replace cognitive, repetitive work significantly. Anything that involves a lot of cognitive processing and is somewhat repetitive, that's the easiest place where AI can add value. If you look at creative work, for example, art, etc., I think AI will become a much more important tool. So it will drive throughput, productivity significantly. It's not going to replace creativity. It's going to augment creativity in a significant way. So artists who use AI will be better off. It's true for cognitive work as well. But in cognitive, repetitive work, the very core cognitive, repetitive work could be fully automated. Anything to do with human beings, interacting with human beings, coordinating with human beings, motivating human beings, and so making them work with each other. Collaboration, that is not an AI's job. So I think if you take project management, if you define project management in a very simplistic way, that could be automated. But if you really truly think of what does project management mean, I think it's there you'll see that AI will be a tool, but it's not going to replace in a significant way. I think in general, throughput will increase, right? And therefore jobs will be replaced. Which means what I mean by that is that if some piece of work is 20% automated, right?
Correct.
Earlier there were 100 people doing that job. You only need 80 people to do the job.
Absolutely.
Because 80 people will be able to complete their job. So you lose 20 jobs are lost. Right? So job losses of that kind will happen. So every one of us who's doing that work will be more productive. And therefore, somebody who wanted to come into that piece of work is not going to get that job anymore, because we are able to accomplish more with the same number of people. So that's how the job, it's not that people are getting fired as much as it is about people are able to drive more throughput, and therefore there is less space for new people to come in, and that's how job losses will happen. Now, this is a reality, right? This is the first order effect of AI, is that it will make some fewer people are required to complete jobs. But the second order effect of this is that now with the freed up time and with the higher throughput and higher profitability and higher value that is realized because AI has gotten so much better, we'll invent completely whole new industries, whole new kinds of jobs, whole new kinds of things, whole new kinds of entertainment. Things will change. We, at least for the last many hundreds of years, we have seen that improvement in productivity does not lead to actual loss of jobs. It leads to new jobs being created. The world gets even only better. I still think we're still in that paradigm. So while the first order effects is jobs will be lost, the second order effects is many more jobs that we cannot even conceptualize today will get created. So net, the world will be a better place, but through that process, there'll be some disruption. If I'm a 50-year-old truck driver doing long haul truck journeys from, let's say, east coast of United States to west coast of United States, now I don't have a job and I need to retrain myself. I can't become an AI artist or some new drone pilot or something like that. I can't become something like that overnight. I need retraining. So from the vantage point of that person who's lost his job because AI is doing that job for him, is still an important one, right? So we have to take care of those kinds of situations. We have to protect the people, but we can't protect jobs. I keep saying protect people, not jobs. Jobs cannot be protected. Jobs have no meaning in themselves. It's the people that we care about, not the jobs.
Correct.
So if you can take care of the people and retrain them, make them relearn and do new stuff, then you don't have to protect jobs at all.
That last line puts across an entire summarization of what is more important, people and not the jobs. And since we would also like to understand from you is what is the factor that, in terms of the motivation that you as a CEO or maybe as an entrepreneur, what keeps you motivated?
It's, different things in different times. But I think the purpose is very, very important. What we are trying to do here, there's a thrill and a joy and a challenge in building a great company and building it for the long term. I find it very exciting. I find it very inspiring. Obviously, the kind of problems we are solving for our clients is inspiring. The fact that we're making a difference to people's lives, I've seen leaders grow from they joined Fractal right from their college and turned out to be incredible leaders. I've seen many such journeys. It's very fulfilling to see people thrive and build great careers in Fractal. So different kinds of motivations, but I think there's a lot of joy and satisfaction of creating something from nothing and see it thrive and making an impact to the world. And frankly, that's it. And obviously you in the process, if you make money, but I think beyond a certain point, money doesn't motivate.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is like towards the end of this podcast. Maybe last few questions. So we know that you enjoy reading and you are an avid reader yourself. So one of your favorite subjects is also behavior science. So this is what I understood from your last podcast. So did anyway this behavioral science help you in creating this work culture?
Definitely. I mean, an example is when we built this office in 2019, we brought in a whole host of design and behavioral sciences principles in how we designed the workplace. We wanted more collaboration. So what we created was a cafeteria on the 6th floor so that everyone from 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th will have to come and meet each other, run into each other every day, right? So otherwise, we had 4 different floors and we could become 4 independent units.
Correct.
And we could have created a little pantry in every floor or something like that. It wouldn't have worked. But we created a mechanism by which people run into each other. This is just one example, but there are many, many examples of what we have thought of in the workspace in such a way that people do their best work they can come together and collaborate, right? So using behavioral sciences principles and design principles in doing something like that. But overall, behavioral science is about understanding human behavior and seeing why they thrive, why they are motivated, why they're inspired, how to get the best out of them, that they're not necessarily rational, then how to think of their emotions and not just the natural. I mean, for example, we all are full human beings. So if today, for example, someone in my family is not well, I cannot be my best at my work. I'm not a robot who can come here and do my work and go, right? So to take a full view of the individual, these kinds of things are all something that I've learned by understanding behavioral sciences, and all of those are ingrained in the way I operate every day, in the way we design incentive systems, and all of these things we think of behavioral sciences principles. So yes, I've learned a lot from behavioral sciences, and I try to practice my understanding, and I'm a student of behavioral sciences. I'm always thinking of, okay, why does this person behave this way in this situation, and what is there to learn from this experience?
Wow. So could you recommend some books for leaders or maybe managers who shape the work culture, or maybe who knows, who deal with people, right? So any book recommendation that you may have?
One of my favorite books of all time is Influence by Robert Cialdini. I think it's something that everyone should read. Now there's a 2021 edition which is much thicker, but it's actually a very good book, fantastic book. I would recommend that. There's another book on behavioral sciences called How to Change by Katie Milkman, which I thought was a simple and a powerful book. It's very good. Certainly Noise by Daniel Kahneman and Oliver Siboney, and a couple of other authors are there. That's a good book again on how to make better decisions using insights from human behavioral analysis. That's also a good book on behavioral sciences. Certainly Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow is an all-time classic in this space as well. I'm sure there are quite a few other books as well. I'm happy to send you a longer list. But the idea is that yes, I think there are quite a few interesting researchers in this space, and it's always insightful. At least I find it very insightful to read about human behavior. You can never get enough of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now I realize that each individual joining Fractal, in the goodie, they definitely get a book from as an influence, and that is now I realize. Yeah, that's how you promote it. Yes.
Yeah. Would you like to take?
No.
So the last question: what advice would you like to give CEOs and other entrepreneurs in creating the better work culture?
I would say that put yourself in the shoes of your people.
Wow.
Right? Just build an organization that you like to work for, where if you are not the CEO, you still want to work in that organization. If you are the junior most person in the organization, middle management in the organization, top management, if you're HR, if you're finance, if you're marketing, you want to work for that organization. If you think of that every day, I think you will build a great workplace. And frankly, that's one of the things I've always thought of is, okay, I was 25 years old once, and would I be willing to be part of this organization? And if that's not the case, then we're not building a great organization. So that's something I would say to every CEO entrepreneur.
And I can vouch for this, that the peers that I speak to, I can say for the fact that no one says that they want to leave the organization. They would love to continue because obviously the culture that you have built, and the especially for the employees, the facilities that we have over here, I think that are something that any employees would dream of. So that's a great work culture that we have at Fractal.
I'll just correct you on one thing. The culture is not something that I have built. I have just been a part of this creation of this culture. See, culture becomes complex. For the 4,500 people who are dealing with the remaining 4,499 people every day, right? And culture is getting defined in the way these interactions are taking place. So you can start you can set it off, and you can role model yourself, and you can do the right kind of hiring, etc. But culture is being created or destroyed by all of us together. So
that is what you being very humble about it. But obviously, as you mentioned, leaders show that clarity and the path, right? So obviously you had set that path for others, and that's how the culture has been built over here. So thank you so much for joining us, Srikanth, and giving us your time. and I'm sure our listeners and viewers would benefit from this podcast. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
Thank
Srikanth.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this episode patiently till the end. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll meet you again in the next episode. Till then, if you like our podcast show, then do like, share, subscribe, and let us know your feedback in the comment section. You can also listen to the episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible. Thank you.